Prisoners freed and billions for the Islamic Republic. The Biden administration completed a deal with Tehran, exchanging 5 Iranian prisoners for 5 Americans and the unfreezing of $6 billion in frozen Iranian oil assets. The exchange took place after the billions were transferred from South Korea to Qatar. Qatar will monitor how Iran spends the money, and critics believe this is the largest ransom ever paid by the United States. But the Biden administration says no, the money was sanctioned oil payments frozen in South Korea since 2019. So what do Iranians think of this prisoner swap? Well, joining us is Young Voices commentator Tameneh Dehbogorzi of the Dissident Project. Tameneh, it's good to talk with you again. So many Americans are upset about this deal. How are people in Iran reacting, especially younger Iranians you know?
Iran has never won a war, but also has never lost a negotiation. Ultimately, the funds are the important part of the deal for the Islamic Republic. They have been citing a lot of economic problems as a result of U.S. sanctions. However, a lot of people believe that it's not the sanctions that is causing the economic problems in Iran. It is actually the incompetency of the Islamic Republic. On the other hand, overseeing these funds is going to be almost impossible for the international banks that are involved with this, because the promise is that these funds are only going to be used for humanitarian needs. However, Ibrahim Raisi has said multiple times that Iran is in control of how this money is spent. People in Iran and outside are very worried that the government of Iran is going to be using these funds to ramp up its nuclear program and also continuing funding its terrorism outside of Iran.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. It reminds a lot of Americans, remember President Obama's deal in the middle of the night? That plane landed. It freed up about billions more in frozen assets. So critics in Congress, others say the money's fungible. It'll free up other funds that'll be used to support terrorism and groups like Hezbollah, and then crackdowns on protesters and dissidents inside Iran, the nuclear program. What are your thoughts? Give us some more on that.
Just think about the message that this deal is sending to people across the world. The Biden administration is telling Islamic Republic and other authoritarian countries that if you succeed to catch some of our citizens, we're going to come to negotiation table and also give you a lot of benefits, give you money, give you your prisoners. We will pay the ransom. And I don't think that's a really good strategy for the United States to approach its adversaries like the Islamic Republic. In addition, right now, the situation in Iran is very volatile. Right now, it's the anniversary of Mahsa Amini's death. She was a 22-year-old girl that was allegedly killed in the custody of the morality police for improperly wearing her mandatory headscarf. And senators like Tom Cotton have voiced their concern about the fact that the Biden administration is appeasing its enemies instead of trying to approach them with more deterrence force and more aggression.
And you mentioned the death of Mahsa Amini and also the protests that have been going on since then for the last year. But, you know, a lot of people were encouraged. They thought that this might be the end of the regime. But here we are a year later, and the Ayatollah is still in power. What's the future of the protests?
Well, we have seen that a lot of changes in Iran. Women of Iran are no longer complying with hijab, and no matter how many rules that the government tries to impose, I see a lot of resistance from young Iranian women. On the other hand, this is going to be a trench warfare. The Islamic Republic is powerful. They have resources. They have allies outside of Iran. They have China, North Korea, and some other countries in the region that are also supporting the Islamic Republic staying in power. And Iranian people have been fighting by themselves. And my personal view on the matter is that I think this is going to be taking quite a while. However, we have already been seeing changes both on the ground level and also on an international scale. This is the first time after 40 years of Islamic Republic rule that we see that the world is finally noticing the Iranian people. This is not the first time that people are going out and protesting, but we've never seen anything like that. Last week, we saw that House passed Mahsa Act, which imposed more sanctions on entities that are connected connected with the Islamic Republic. And we're seeing more movements happening both in Congress and also in other countries such as Europe. So I don't think the hope is lost and the fight is still continuing. However, we got to be patient and make sure that we support the Iranian people. The Biden administration should not be going forward with negotiations with the Islamic Republic because that is only going to set back the movement.
Iranian President Raisi was allowed to come to New York. He was given a visa to speak at the UN and then meet with government leaders at a time when the Islamic Republic is restricting UN inspectors from visiting nuclear development sites. So what do you think? It seems like Iran's getting closer and closer to building a nuclear bomb. What should be done to stop them?
I think it's really shameful that something like this is happening, and this further delegitimizes international organizations like United Nations because they're allowing people like Raisi and governments like Islamic Republic having a seat at the table next to the United States and leaders of the free world and giving them equal voice and opportunity.
Okay, Tameneh Dehbogorzi, it's good to talk with you. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate your insights.
Thank you.